So I'm going to go through a couple of troubleshooting things here. There are a lot of different ways you can mess up the startup. There are a lot of different ways that the configuration can get messed up. One of the big mistakes that you might have made when you first come in is trusting that everything is ready to go, because it kind of looks like you're used to looking at it. The problem is you don't know what little things may have been altered in the board setup. So even if it looks like it's what you're used to seeing, you want to make sure that you reload that template from scratch. If I go to my screen, I want to make sure that I reload that template from scratch, even if it looks like it's right. If I wasn't the last person to use this board, and I know for a fact that I wasn't the last person to use this board, I want to restart that template, reload from scratch. Same thing with my Dante setup on the computer. I want to make sure that as I load on the computer, as I reload on the computer, I want to make sure that that Dante setup is loaded from scratch, because there are small changes that may have been made that I wouldn't be able to notice right away. That's why we have those templates. So first thing when you come in, reload those templates every time. Also, on top of that, a couple things that might go wrong. Sometimes you may have walked in first thing in the morning, you loaded your templates, and you've got your faders up, and there might even be things metering on the faders, and everything's looking good. The issue you might run into as things are metering, but you're not getting sound, you may have forgotten to turn on the power amps. You want to make sure that you have those amplifiers on and that you've hit fire it up. Also, another thing is you may have accidentally loaded the wrong template. If you're running into troubles and you know you've loaded correlating templates here on the board and on the computer, try a different template. We have an alternate template called the 5 red nets template. Sunday, 5 red nets. It's a setup for if we have 9 musicians on stage and we have 4 wireless rigs, 5 red nets. If that's the case, you can always use that as a backup plan and load that either here or here as kind of a backup. We have a backup template on the board as well. So here, not only do we have Sunday QL5, but we have right above it, Sunday QL5 Park BU. That's backup. Okay? You can always, if you need to and you're in a pinch, load the event template or the 5 RedNet template, just to use something that you know will work. All of those are configured to work. Just try a different template if you're having some problems. Another thing is restart the board. If you're having issues with things handshaking properly, seems like everything should be patched, but for some reason or other, something's not working. Go from scratch. Log out of the computer, shut down the Dante controller, start that up as I've shown you before. Stop Dante Virtual Sound Card, start that back up. Shut down the board, start the board back up. Now you wouldn't do any of these things until first turning off the power amps. You want to shut it down first. Make sure those power amps are off before you try doing any of these other things. Then fire those amps back up after you know it's configured the way you want to. Another thing, we've had a couple of people ask about this before. Sometimes in some of our templates, we have a really weird thing that you might see where on the faders, they might be blinking. Those faders might be blinking because the channel itself is on, but the DCA is muted. So you want to make sure that that DCA in the center DCA section is also on, because it's almost like a master mute on that individual group channel. Okay? Another thing, sometimes you're not getting sound. These seem like basic things, but just as a reminder, say I've got that vocal up and I'm not getting sound out of that fader. That might be because I don't have my DCA up. I also have to have a second fader up. I control that fader from this DCA at all times. So just a couple ideas, food for thought. Never be afraid to ask for ideas or questions. Generally speaking, reload, restart. If you're having issues, reload and restart. Thank you.